Good day to all of you, and once again, this is your teacher Daniel, and today, tuturuan ko naman kayo ng iba pang factoring technique or factoring method. Pumapangalawa sa mga techniques na meron tayo ay kung paano mag-factor ng mga polynomials which follows the pattern of the difference of two squares. Ayan. So, pero bago muna yan, pagtuunan muna natin ng pansin itong prepare kong example para mas ma-appreciate natin lalo yung technique natin. So, kunyari, magmumultiply tayo ng numbers na 21 times 19, 28 times 32, or 503 times 497. So, kung kaya nyo ba silang, kaya nyo ba itong i-multiply kahit sa isip lang or kahit sa utak lang? Alam nyo ba na merong paraan para ma-multiply itong mga ganitong number? Kung mapapansin nyo, 21, 19, 28, 32, 503, 497, may pattern sila. Actually, yung pattern nila, pwede natin silang express as the difference of two numbers. The difference of the square, the difference of squares of two numbers. So, paano yan? Again, gagamit ulit tayo ng tulad nung naituro ko sa inyo before sa greatest common monomial factor. Gagamit ulit tayo ng increments at saka decrements. So this time sabay natin silang gagamitin. So paano ba natin yan i-express in terms of increments and decrements? So let's say you are multiplying 21 times 19. So, yung magiging increment ni 21 is 20 plus 1. At yung magiging decrement naman ni 19 is 20 minus 1. O sir, ano naman gagawin namin dyan? Kung mapapansin nyo, once you express already the numbers 21 and 19 to its increments and decrements, mas madali na sila ngayong i-multiply. So, tingnan natin. 20 times 20 is 400. 20 times negative 1 is negative 20. 1 times 20 is positive 20. And 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. So, mangyayari niyan, yung gitnang term, ito, negative 20 plus 20, of course, 0, diba? So, immediately, makakancel natin yan silang dalawa. Ayan, makakancel po natin yan. Ang matitira na lang is 400 minus 1. And, of course, 400 minus 1 is 399. So, kung mapapansin nyo, meron silang pattern na sinusunod. At yung pattern na to, etong pattern na to, it pertains to the difference of two squares. Which is mamaya, mas pagtutuunan pa natin ng pansin kung ano nga ba itsura ni the difference of two squares. Pero since nakita niyo yung pattern natin na nakakancel yung gitnang term, sa madaling salita, ang pagtutuunan na lang natin ng pansin, instead na ito buo, ang pagtutuunan na lang natin ng pansin ito. At saka yung magiging answer niya, and that is 400 minus 1. O subukan natin ulit sa pangalawang number. Let's say you have 28 times 32. Ayan. Again, i-express uli natin sila in terms of their increments and decrements, or decrements and increments in this case. So you have 28 could be expressed as 30 minus 2 and 30 plus 2. if you're going to use distributive property in evaluating this number, instead of multiplying 28 and 32, huwag nyo kalimutan. Imbis na i-multiply natin silang dalawa sa isip natin, why not express natin sila in terms of increments and decrements? Mapapansin nyo, 30 times 30 is 900, and 30 times positive 2 is positive 60. Negative 2 times 30 is negative 60. And ito, negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. Again, mapapansin nyo na yung gitna, lagi-lagi siyang natutunaw kung ganun man lang, ano. Para siyang nakakancel agad kasi siya. Nagiging 0 yung gitna. So, ang pagtutuunan na lang again natin ng pansin, instead na pagtuunan natin yung pansin yung gitna, pagtutuunan na lang natin ng pansin yung nasa gilid, ito tsaka ito. So that will be 900 minus 4. So kamukha rin nito, no? And 900 minus 4 is equivalent to 896. Sorry. That is 896. Ayan. So, why not i-multiply natin yung pangatlong example natin. This time, hindi na natin susulat etong nasa gitna. Wala na to. Hindi na natin siya isusulat. Ito. Instead, ang pagtutunan na lang natin ng pansin, yung kasunod na step. Kasi, lagi-lagi namang ganun din lang naman na mangyayari. Once na meron ka ng increment, isipin mo lang yung increment. Ito. And then, you could immediately evaluate the difference. Instead of, mas madali na yun kaysa naman sa mag-multiply tayo ng numbers. Okay? So, let's try. We have 503 times 497. Again, ano sa tingin nyo yung magiging decrement ni 503? That will be, or I should say increment. Ano yung magiging increment ni 503? That is the same as 500 plus 3. At yung decrement naman ni 497 is, again, 500 minus 3. At once na meron ka ng increment at saka decrement, ang pagtutunan lang natin ng pansin yung difference. Yung difference, so ang gagawin natin, square natin yung unang number sa loob ng quantity at saka square natin yung pangalawang number sa loob ng quantity, and then i-minus natin. Yung square ni 500 is 5 times 5 is 25. And then, dagdagan natin ng 4 na 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bakit 4 na 0? Kasi 500 times 500, diba? 5 times 5, 25. Tapos, 4 na 0. So, that is 250,000 minus 3 times 3, that is, or 3 squared, that is 9. So, sa madaling salita, yung difference ni 250,000 at saka ni 9 is 249,991. So, paki-check na lang po sa calculator nyo kung tama yung ating product. So, this time, subukan naman natin itong exercise na to. I prepared several numbers here na ang pattern niya, pumapattern dun sa mga nating examples. And you could express them as increments and decrements, and later on you could apply the concept of the difference of two squares in evaluating this number. So, subukan natin. Let's say we have 9 times 11. 9 times 11 is the same as the decrement of 9 is 10 times or 10 minus 1. Okay, 11 naman, that is 10 plus 1. So, we will not be concerning ourselves anymore kung ano yung magiging middle sums nila. Instead, ang magiging concern na lang natin yung end to end. So, we will use this 10 minus 1 and then square each number and then subtract. Yun ang mangyayari, ano? So, 10 times 10, that is 100 minus 1 times 1 is 1 and 100 minus 1 is 99. Subukan nga natin kung tama yung sagot natin. Okay, so tama yung sagot natin. So, let us have the next example. 19 times 21. So, tingin nyo. So, 19 times 21 could be expressed as 20 minus 1 and 20 plus 1, diba? So, it's the same as multiplying the increment, decrement, that is 20 minus 1, 20 plus 1, and then you're going to square 20 and you're going to square 1. So, that will be 400 minus 1 or 399. Subukan nga natin kung 399 yung sagot. Ayan, so 399 nga yung sagot. How about 29 times 31? Oh, ito, madali lang din, ano? Kasi 1 lang. If you're going to solve that in terms of increment and or using increment and decrement, that is the same as 30 minus 1 times 30 plus 1. And 30 times 30 is 900 minus 1 squared or minus 1, that is 899. O, tingnan natin, subukan natin kung tama yung sagot natin. Okay, so that is 899. How about 39 times 41? O, this time sa isip na lang, tingnan natin kung kaya natin, ano? 39 times 41. So that is 40 minus 1 and 40 squared minus 1 squared, that is the same as 1,600 minus 1, so that is 1,599. I think, tingnan nga natin kung tama tayo. 1,599, ayan, so 1,599. Ngayon, iiwan ko sa inyo yung mga examples na to para meron tayo mapag-practicean sa bahay, ano? Iiwan ko sa inyo yung mga examples na to para pwede natin silang pag-practice sa bahay, and I hope nakuha nyo yung ating mga examples. Kasi, to simply say, ang gagawin nyo lang naman is, kukunin nyo lang yung increment and decrement nung dalawang numbers. And kahit itry nyo pa using distributive property, mas madaling makuha yung kanyang product kaysa i-multiply mo yung dalawang numbers. So again, if you have 49 times 51, kukunin nyo yung decrement ni 49, that would be 50 minus 1, and then kukunin nyo yung kukunin natin yung increment ni 51, that is 50 plus 1. If you insist to use the distributive property, ang mangyayari niyan, 50 times 50, that is 25, tsaka dalawang 0, that is 2,500. Again, 50 times positive 1, that is plus 50, negative 1 times 50, that is negative 50, and negative 1 times positive 1 is negative 1. So, kung mapapansin nyo, in this example, natutunaw talaga yung nasa gitna, ano? Lagi-lagi siyang nagiging 0. So, let us just cancel it out. Why? Because positive 50 minus 50 is just 0. So, ang matitira na lang, what is left is 2,500 minus 1. And 2,500 minus 1, that is equivalent to 2,499. 99. Tingnan natin kung tama yung sagot natin. Oh, so that is 2,499. I will leave you the rest. So, para meron kayong practice sa bahay. Now, I prepared an exercise for you, a home quiz wherein you're going to use the increment and decrement in solving the product of these two numbers. So you have 401 times 399, 701 times 699, and so on and so forth. You are going to use the increment and decrement na tinuro ko sa inyo kanina in finding the product. Madaling-madali lang po yan. So, at this point in time, tapos nyo na pong gawin yung ating, or kopyahin yung ating home quiz. Balikan ho natin yung pinag-aralan natin kanina. Yung tungkol sa decrement and increment wherein ginamit natin sila in solving, in evaluating the product of numbers. Say, if you have 48 times 52, ito yung mga klase ng number na may pattern, yung magkakalapit. So, if you're going to multiply 48 and 52, that is also equivalent to the quantity 50 minus 2 and 50 plus 2, wherein 50 minus 2 is the decrement and 50 plus 2 is the increment. So if we are going to evaluate this using a FOIL method, you're going to square the first term, that is 50 times 50, o para madali, 5 times 5, 25, tapos dagdagan natin ng dalawang 0, so that is 2,500. And if you're going to evaluate the last digit, the square of the last digit, kasi pareho lang din naman negative 2 times positive 2, so that will be equivalent to negative 4 or 2 squared. And then if you're going to multiply the inside term and the outside term, burahin ko lang to, if you're going to multiply the inside term and the outside term using a FOIL method, so the inside term is negative 100 and the outside term will be positive 100. And so manonotice nyo na agad na yung gitnang term maka-cancel lang siya because negative 100 plus 100 is equivalent to 0, so we'll just cancel it out, and what is left is 2,500 minus 4, and 2,500 minus 4 is equivalent to 2,496. So, i-check na lang natin po sa ating calculator kung tama po tayo. Now, using that concept of decrement and increment, we will proceed to our next topic. And that will be the product of two binomials. In this particular example, bago natin puntahan yung the difference of two squares, balikan muna natin yung naging topic nyo nung kayo ay grade 7. You are multiplying two binomials. In this particular binomials, sabi natin, we are looking, or in this particular example, we are looking for the product of the sum and difference of two binomials. So, yun yung ginagawa natin nung grade 7 tayo. And if you're going to multiply that, 3a plus 2 times the quantity 3a minus 2, we're going to employ the FOIL method, wherein we are going to square first the first term, that is 9a squared, and we're going to square the last term, which is 4. Don't forget, negative siya. So, negative 4. Why? Because positive 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And if we're going to evaluate the inside term and the outside term, yun yung ginagawa natin ng grade 7 tayo, that will be positive 6a, and then you have, for the outside term, you have negative 6a. Okay. So, kung mapapansin nyo agad yung nasa gitna, wherein if you're going to evaluate 6a and negative 6a, that is equivalent to 0 agad. So, nakagawian na natin, we'll just cancel it out, So, matitira na lang is 9a squared minus 4. Ayan. So, in this manner, yung nagiging sagot niya, ito yung tinatawag natin, ito mga langga yung tinatawag nating the difference of two squares. Yan. So, yun yung tinatawag natin the difference of two squares. Pero, syempre, yun yung natutunan nyo nung kayo ay grade 7. Ay, ano bang gagawin natin ngayon? Ang gagawin natin, yung kabaliktaran. Magfa-factor po tayo. Magfa-factor tayo ng ano? Magfa-factor tayo ng the difference of two squares. Yan yung naging product ng sum and difference of two binomials. So, ito rin yung example natin kanina, 9a squared minus 4. So, how are we going to factor this out? This particular difference of two squares. So, check first the first term kung siya ay square of a term or square of a number. So, what will be the square root of 9? The square root of 9 is 3. What will be the square root of a squared? The square root of a squared is a. And what will be the square root of 4? The square root of 4 is 2. Tapos, pag meron kang minus sa gitna, huwag niyong kakalimutan na laging minus sa gitna. Hindi, bawal yung plus. Hindi po pwedeng plus yan. Kailangan minus yan. So, technically, you have a difference of two squares and it is factorable. And the factor will be the product of the sum and difference of two binomials. Yun po yung So, let us try, Let us try. 9a squared minus 4. Since kinuha na naman natin yung mga square root nila, all we have to do is to rewrite this into factors. Factors of two quantities. So, that will be 3a minus 2 times 3a plus 2. So, in such a manner na pagka minultiply mo tong dalawang to using, at least using distributive property, 3a times 3a is 9a squared, and 3a times positive 2, that is positive 6a. You're going to multiply negative 2 to 3a, that is negative 6a. And if you're going to multiply negative 2 to positive 2, that will become negative 4. Cancel out the middle term because they are zeros. So that will be 9a squared minus 4. So pareho lang, Pareho lang. So technically, what would be the concept, pinaka-importanteng concept sa factoring maliban pa dun sa factoring out the greatest common monomial factor. Isa ito sa mga pinaka-importante sa lahat kasi ginagamit din to in simplifying rational expressions. Napakahalaga po nito. So huwag niyong kakalimutan yung rule natin. So if let's say you have a squared minus, huwag niyong kakalimutan, laging minus yan, b squared, that is the same as a minus b times a plus b. Kamukha rin kung if you're looking for the product of the sum and difference of two binomials, the result will be the difference of two squares. Lagi-lagi siyang ganyan. Now, let us have another good example as to how are we going to apply the technique, which is the difference of two squares. So, let's say we have an expression 36x squared minus 49y squared. Una't higit sa lahat, bago natin i-apply yung rule natin, ano nga uli yung rule natin? Yung rule natin is a squared minus b squared is equivalent to a minus b times the quantity a plus b. Bago natin i-apply yung rule na yan, kailangan i-check muna natin kung yung mga terms natin is perfect squares. So, paano natin i-check kung perfect squares sila? So, first method is kailangan familiar tayo dun sa mga perfect square numbers. So, ano-ano ba yung mga perfect square numbers? So, let us try to recall. 1 times 1 is equivalent to 1. 2 times 2 is equivalent to 2. Oh, 4, sorry. Sorry po. 4. 3 times 3 is equivalent to 9. 4 times 4 is equivalent to 16. So, ito yung mga perfect square numbers. 1, 4, 9, 16. 5 times 5 is equivalent to 25. 6 times 6 equivalent to 36. So, ayan na. We have one perfect square number, which is 36. 7 times 7 is equivalent to 49. Ayan, meron ulit tayong perfect square number, which is 49. And then, we can go on. 8 times 8 is equivalent to 64. 9 times 9 is equivalent to 81. 10 times 10 is 100. 11 times 11 is 121. Yung mga numbers na yun, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and so on and so forth. Yun yung mga perfect square numbers. So, yung mga perfect square numbers na yun, kailangan familiar tayo doon kasi madalas, yun din yung mga lumalabas sa mga problems natin, especially if we are dealing with difference of two squares. Sige, susubukan na natin, since na-determine na natin na si 36 at saka si 49 is perfect square number sila. Walang problema kay x squared at saka kay y squared kasi obvious naman they are perfect square terms because of the squared or because of the exponent. So, ang mangyari niyan, after nating ma-check kung perfect square term ba yung bawat term ng binomial na to, tsaka lang natin may a-apply yung technique ng the difference of two squares. Tsaka lang natin may a-apply yung technique na yan. Now, na-determine na natin na perfect square number nga, si 36 at saka si 49. So, ano yung magiging factor niya? Again, ang magiging factor niya i-square root lang natin yung first term at saka i-square root natin yung second term. At huwag nyo kakalimutan, ito, lagi tong minus. Hindi yan pwedeng maging plus. Pag kasi naging plus yan, hindi yan factorable. Hindi natin pwedeng i-apply yung technique na the difference of two squares. Kaya, burahin ko lang to. Yan. So, what will be the factor of 36x squared minus 49y squared? Kunin natin yung square root ni 36. Tsaka kunin natin yung square root ni 49. So, the square root of 36 is equivalent to 6. Tsaka yung square root naman ni 49, because it is a perfect square number, that is 7. So, ano yung magiging factor niya? That is 6 squared x squared minus 7 squared y squared. If that is the case, then since we are squaring a number, we're squaring a variable that could also be expressed as 6, or the quantity 6x squared and 7y squared. So, ganyan, ano? So, makikita mo agad yung term ni A, pinaka-term ni A, at saka yung pinaka-term ni B. Ngayon, kung duda tayo, kailangan i-recheck natin what is the square of 6, that is 36. What is the square of x? That would be x squared. Anong square ni 7? That is 49. Anong square ni y? That will be y squared. So, check lang po natin kung para hindi tayo nagkakamali. So, in this case, nakuha na natin yung a term at saka yung b term. So, ang gagawin na lang natin, i-express na lang natin sila as sum and difference, the product of sum and difference of two binomials. So, the factor will be 6x minus 7y times the quantity 6x plus 7y. O, diba mas madali? Kinuha natin yung square root ni first term, kinuha natin yung square root ni second term, and then we express them as we express them as powers, we express them as powers, like 36 is the same as 6 squared, 49 is the same as 7 squared, tapos pinag-isa lang natin yung term, in-enclose natin sila sa parenthesis, and then pareho natin silang in-express as squared. Ayan, kasi according to the rule, if you have a raised to x times b raised to x, that is the same as ab, or the quantity ab raised to x. Yun yung property na natutunan natin nung tayo ay grade 7 pa. So, applying that property, of course, meron ka ng pinaka a term and b term according to our rule. So, therefore, the factor is 6x minus 7y times the quantity 6x plus 7y. So let us have few more examples. This time we are going to use the technique of the difference of two squares, and we are going to factor the following expressions, the following binomials mentally. Subukan natin kung kaya natin kahit sa isip lang. Yes sir, paano ba yun? Paano po ba natin sila i-factor? Ang gagawin lang naman natin, kukunin lang natin yung square root ng first term, tapos kukunin natin yung square root ng second term. Maganda siguro na sanay tayo dun sa pag-square root ng first and second term, kasi yun yung mas mabilis na paraan para para magamit natin yung technique, and later on ma-factor natin to into the product of the sum and difference of two binomials. So, subukan natin. what will be the square root of 9a squared? Parang kamukha lang rin to nung nauna nating example, ano? So, the square root of 9a squared is 3a. What will be the square root of 1? The square root of 1 is, of course, 1. So, sa tingin nyo, ano kaya yung magiging factor natin? So, meron na tayong pinaka-a term natin, which is 3a, tsaka yung pinaka-b term natin, which is 1. Sa rule natin, sulat ko na lang yung rule natin para hindi natin makaligtaan. A squared minus b squared is the same as the quantity a minus b times the quantity a plus b. So, 3a, yun yung pinaka-a term natin. Ito po yun. Tapos yung 1, yun yung pinaka-b term natin. Ayan. So, ano yung magiging factor nila? Ano kaya yung magiging factor nito? Ang magiging factor nito is 3a minus 1 and 3a plus 1. Sige, sulat ko nga dito kung tama tayo. 3a minus 1 and times 3a plus 1. Check natin kung tama tayo. Okay, so tama tayo. 3a minus 1 times 3a plus 1. Let us go to the next example. C to the 4th minus 64. Again, kunin lang natin yung square root ng first and second term. Makukuha natin yung factors niya. So what will be the square root of c to the 4th? Square root of c to the 4th is c squared. At yung square root ni 64, of course, that is 8 kasi perfect square number siya, no? Kung maalala nyo, 64 is equivalent to 8 times 8. So, the square root of 64 is 8. So, what will be the factor? Ang magiging factor natin ay c squared minus 8 times c squared plus 8. Sige nga, subukan natin kung tama tayo. Ayan, so tama tayo. C squared minus 8 at c squared plus 8. How about f raised to 6 minus 400? Oh, medyo lumaki ata yung number natin, ano, 400. Huwag kayong problema kasi meron naman yung perfect square number. You can meron naman yung square root. You can make use of your calculators if you want and get the square root of 400. Or we could actually factor 400 into prime factors and then let us find out the what is this. We could look for the square root of 400. Ganun. So what would be the square root of f raised to 6? The square root of f raised to 6, ang gagawin natin, i-divide lang natin tong si 6 by 2. Yun, di-divide lang natin yan by 2. So, 6 divided by 2, ang secret niyan is 6 divided by 2 is 3. So, the square root of f raised to 6 is f raised to 3. Ganon. Tapos, what will be the square root of 400? It's very obvious because 2 times 2 is 4. Tapos, meron kang dalawang 0. It's pretty much obvious na ang square root ni 400 ay 20. Why? Because 20 times 20 is 400. So, the factor, tingnan natin na kung tama tayo. F raised to 3 minus 20 times the quantity f raised to 3 plus 20. Ayan. Tingnan natin kung tama tayo. Ayan, tama tayo. Oh. So, now our next example, 36j squared minus 100 m to the 4th. Again, the square root of 36 is 6. The square root of j squared, again, si 2, i-divide mo lang sa 2 yan. Ayan, divide mo lang yan sa 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So, square root ni j squared is j. 1 na lang kasi yan eh. 1 na lang dun. Yan, 1 na lang. No need to write 1. So, 6j. What will be the square root of 100m to the 4th? Ang square root ni 100, syempre 10. Tapos, ang square root ni m to the 4th, divide mo lang yung 4 sa 2. Ganun lang kasimple. So, m, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So, the square root of m to the 4th is m raised to 2. So, the factor, yung magiging factor natin, is expressed as sum and difference of two binomials, or the product of sum and difference of two binomials. That will be 6j minus 10m squared times the quantity 6j plus 10m squared. Check natin kung tama tayo. Ayun. Burahin ko to ha. Tama tayo. So, 6j minus 10m squared, 6j plus 10m squared. So, kung may time kayo sa bahay, pwede nyong ituloy yung ating drill. Papakita ko sa inyo yung mga answers, and then i-replay nyo yung video, tapos i-solve nyo uli mentally kung ano yung magiging factors niya, and then i-check nyo uli yung answer kung tama kayo, kung na-master nyo na yung skill. Basta lagi nyo lang tatandaan is square root natin yung first term, square root natin yung second term. Pag nakakakita ka ng variable, ang gagawin mo lang sa exponent, i-divide mo lang yan sa 2 para makuha mo yung square root niya. Okay, subukan pa natin one last time. Ano kaya yung square root ni c squared? Ang square root ni c squared is c. Bakit c na lang? That is c raised to 1. No need to write 1. Bakit c na lang? Kasi 2 divided by 2 is 1. So, c raised to 1 or c. What would be the square root of 25? The square root of 25 is 5. So, therefore, the factor is, ito yung pinaka a term natin at ito naman yung ating pinaka b term. So, that will be c minus 5 times c plus 5. Check natin kung tama tayo. Ayan. So, c minus 5 times the quantity c plus 5. How about this? 27b squared minus 12. Oh, wait lang. Wag ka muna agad mag-i-square root. Kasi, kung mapapansin mo, si 27, hindi siya perfect square number. Si 12, hindi rin siya perfect square number. So, anong gagawin natin? Gagawin natin, balikan natin yung nauna nating topic, yung greatest common monomial factor. Kasi baka mamaya, pareho silang merong greatest common monomial factor. So, ano yung factor ni 27? Ang factor ni 27 is 3 times 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Ano naman yung factor ni 12? Ang factor ni 12 is 3 times 4. 4, 8, 12. So, kung mapapansin nyo, pareho pala silang merong GCMF. Ayan. Dito na natin ina-apply yung GCMF, ano? Pareho silang merong greatest common factor or greatest common monomial factor. Much better na kailangan i-factor out muna natin, tanggalin muna natin sa system nila yung mga common factors nila para makuha natin or makita talaga natin kung pwede ba nating i-square root si first term at saka i-square root si second term. So, pareho lang naman pala silang may factor na 3. Why not? Ilabas natin yan. Ano? Ilalabas natin si 3. So, ito, si 27 magiging 9 na lang at si 12 magiging 4 na lang. Ngayon, tingnan natin kung pwede nating makuha yung square root nila. 9b squared. Oh, so meron ano? Ang square root nila is 3b. While si 4, ang square root niya is 2. So, don't forget, meron kang greatest common factor na 3. So, ano yung magiging factor nito? Unahin mo na lang yung, unahin mo lagi, huwag mo nga kalimutan isulat yung greatest common factor, which is 3. And then, try to figure out kung ano yung magiging kalalabasan ng factor ng the difference of two squares natin. So, in this case, your A term is 3b and your B term is 2. So, therefore, you have 3b minus 2 times 3b plus 2. So, i-check na natin kung tama tayo. 3b times 3b is equivalent to 9b squared. Ayan, 9b squared. C, negative 2 times positive 2 is equivalent to 4. Ayan. Tapos, i-times pa natin yan sa 3. Babalik tayo sa, pag tinimes pa natin yan sa 3, yung expression natin, magiging 27b squared minus 12. Yun. Tingnan natin kung tama yung sagot natin. Ayan. So, tama yung sagot natin. Ano? So, huwag niyong kakaligtaan. Minsan kasi, may mga pagkakataon na meron tayong mga GCF. Hindi lang natin napapansin. Kamukha nito. Nakakita nyo, 27 and 12. I-square root ba natin agad? Hindi. I-check muna natin kung perfect square number sila. At pagka hindi sila perfect square number, may chance na baka kukunin pa natin yung kanilang greatest common factor. O how about, let us continue. No? How about, what would be the factor of 4 minus d to the 4th e squared? So again, kunin lang uli natin yung square root ni 4 at saka nung second term. The square root of 4 is 2 and the square root of d to the 4th is d squared. The square root of e squared is e. Why? Kasi si 4 dinivide lang naman natin sa 2. Tapos si 2 dinivide natin sa 2 which is equivalent to 1. No need to write 1. So the a term is 2 at ang pinaka b term natin is d to the d squared e. So what will be our factor? Our factor will be 2 minus d squared e times 2 plus d squared e. O, tingnan natin kung tama tayo. Ayan, so tama tayo. The last, mas madali, ano? 4g squared minus 1. Automatic, ang factor niya, magiging factor niya is 2g minus 1 times 2g plus 1. Alam nyo mga langga, practice lang yan eh. Makukuha at makukuha natin agad yan. Katulad ng ginagawa natin ngayon, parang ang bilis na natin, nakukuha agad-agad natin yung factor mentally. Kahit hindi na natin sinosolve. It's because the technique there is kunin mo lang yung square root ng first term at saka kunin mo lang yung square root ng second term. Okay, check natin kung tama tayo. Ayan, so tama tayo. Okay, so let us have few more examples. We have 72a minus 18a cubed. Again, katulad ng mga previous example natin, lagi-lagi nyong tatandaan, kailangan kunin nyo lagi, in this case, kunin nyo lagi yung tinatawag na GCMF para makita natin kung may a-apply ba natin yung technique or not. So, in this case, halatang-halata na meron siyang GCMF because of this. Meron siyang A dito, meron siyang A dito, tapos sa numbers, maybe meron silang common factor din, si 72 at saka si 18. So, para makita agad natin yun, i-factor natin si 72 at saka sa 18 into its prime factors. So, 72a minus 18a cubed is the same as, factor natin si 72. Yung factor ni 72, that is 9 times 8. 9, 18, 27, 36, probability 4, 72, diba? Now, we factor this further. Factoring this further, we will have, can have 3 times 3 times, ang factor ni 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. Ayan. How about si 18? Si 18 is the same as 9 times 2. And factoring further 9, that is 3 times 3 times 2. So, kung ganyan lang naman pala, ano kaya yung GCF nung dalawang number na to, si 72 at saka si 18? Ang magiging GCF nila kasi encircle this, encircle this, encircle this, para patas sila, no? Patas, ayan, patas. So, that is 3 times 3, 9, times 2, that is 18. So, yung GCMF nila, GCF nila is 18. Ayan. So, ano kaya yung pwedeng gawin kay 72? Ang gagawin natin kay 72, that is 18 times 4. Bakit? Kasi 18 times 4 is 72. A minus, how about 18? Oh, let us leave it as 18 na lang, 18A cube. Oh, pareho pala silang merong GCF na 18. And take note, pareho silang may A. Dito, isa lang yung A, dito, tatlo. So, sa tingin nyo, ano yung unang-una natin pwedeng ilabas? Lalabas muna natin si 18, yung GCF or yung GCMF. Next nating ilalabas, maglalabas tayo ng A. And then, we're going to find out kung ano yung natira sa loob. So, ang natira sa loob, after mo maglabas ng 18 at saka isang A, matitira na lang sa loob si 4 minus, syempre, nailabas mo sa second term, nailabas na natin si 18, tapos naglabas tayo ng isang A, don't forget. So, si A cube magiging A squared. Ngayon, kung duda tayo kung tama ba yung sagot natin, ibalik lang natin using a distributive property. 18 times 4 is 72 times A. And then, 18A times A squared is 18 cubed. So, again, tama tayo. Tama yung ating factor. So, meron siyang GCMF na 18A. So, don't forget, in any factoring technique na gagamitin natin, see to it na nafa-factor out muna natin yung mga greatest common na monomial factor bago natin i-apply yung mga technique na bagay dun sa problem natin. So, we already have here a GCF of 18A. So, what will happen to this expression? 4 minus A squared. We can now apply the difference of two square technique. So, that will be, what is the square root of 4? The square root of 4 is 2 and the square root of A squared is A. Since pareho silang may square root at yung gitnang operation is minus, we can apply the technique. So, the factor will be 2 minus A times 2 plus A. Now, let us have another example. Let's say you have an expression z squared y to the 4th minus 4 over 9. This time, we are dealing with fractions. So, what would be the square root of z squared? The square root of z squared is z. The square root of y to the 4th is y squared. Now, what will be the square root of 4 over 9? The square root of 4 over 9. Nung kayo ay grade 7, I hope tinuruan din kayong mag-square root ng fractions. Kung hindi, ganito po yan. If you have the square root of A over B, ang property niya is, that is also the same as the square root of the numerator, A, over, or divided by, the square root of the denominator, which is B. Ayan. So, in this manner, for us to get the square root of 4 over 9, all we have to do, ang gagawin lang natin, kunin natin yung square root ni numerator, kunin natin yung square root ni denominator. So, square root of 4 over the square root of 9. So, what will be the square root of 4? The square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. Sa makatuwid, the square root of 4 over 9 is 2/3. Now, nakuha na natin yung mga square root. Since nakuha na natin yung mga square root, pwede na nating i-determine yung A term at saka yung B term. Ulit burahin ko lang to. Okay, so what will be our A term? Our A term is zy squared. Ang pinaka B term natin is 2/3. Ready na tayong mag-factor. So what will be our factor? Our factor will be zy squared minus 2/3 or 2/3 times the quantity zy squared plus 2/3. O meron pa bang ibang paraan para meron pa bang ibang paraan para ma-factor yan, para makita agad, para makita talaga natin yung step by step na process ng factoring? Meron. O ganito, katulad nung ginawa natin previously, so we express z squared y to the fourth, pinag-isa natin sila in one parenthesis. So ang mangyayari niyan, we divide the exponent 2 by 2, that will become z, kasi magiging 1 na lang yan. 2 divided by 2 is 1, y, and then 4 divided by 2 is 2, and then square natin sa labas. Ayan. Oh. If you could still remember in your grade 7, if you have a raised to x and the quantity a raised to x raised to another power y, ang tawag natin dyan is power of powers, that is also the same as a raised to the product of x and y. So in this case, pwede nating ibalik yung 2. All we have to do, hindi natin i-divide, hindi natin i-minus. Gagamitin natin yung property na powers of powers. So that is 2 times 1 and 2 times 2. Subukan natin. 2 times 1, that is z squared. 2 times 2, that is 4. So that is y to the fourth. So bumabalik siya sa dati, Bumabalik siya sa dati. Therefore, tama yung paggamit natin ng powers of powers. Now, ano naman gagawin natin kay 4/9? Gagawin natin kay 4/9, express din natin siya as powers of powers. Subukan natin. What will be the exponential form of 4? That is 2 squared over what will be the exponential form of 9? That will be 3 squared. And meron tayong property nung grade 7 that if you have a raised to x over b raised to x, that is the same as a over b, the quantity a over b raised to x. So meron tayong ganyang property nung grade 7 tayo. Sa makatuwid, if you have 2 raised to 2, 3 raised to 2, pareho lang silang raised to 2, we could also express that as, let us copy first, zy squared, the quantity zy squared raised to another power of 2. So 2 raised to 2 over 3 raised to 2 could be also be expressed as 2/3 squared. Ngayon, kung doubtful tayo kung tama ba yung naging tama ba yung naging powers of powers natin, ang gagawin lang naman natin, 2 raised to 2 is 4 and 3 raised to 2 is 9. So pumabalik tayo sa original problem natin. So pag na-express na natin sila sa ganitong paraan, dyan na natin makikita kung ano yung pinaka A term natin at saka yung pinaka B term natin. So therefore, ang magiging factor natin ay zy squared minus 2/3 times zy squared plus 2/3. Okay, let us have another example. Let us have x raised to 4y minus 81. Ayan, medyo kabado tayo kasi merong merong monomials exponent. Okay. Again, gagamitan lang uli natin yan ng property. Anong property yan? The property will be if you have a raised to x or the quantity a raised to x raised to another power of y, that is also the same as a, the quantity a raised to y raised to another power of xo. So, ano nangyari? Nagkabaliktad lang sila, no? Nagkabaliktad lang silang dalawa. Ayan, nagkabaliktad lang po yan. So, ibig sabihin pala, according to this property, pwede pala nating pabaliktarin. So, in this case, x raised to 4y, that is also the same as x raised to 4 raised to y, that is also the same as x raised to y raised to 4. O, so kung ganyan lang naman pala, pwede natin kunin diretso yung kanyang square root. At pagka kinuha natin yung kanyang square root, all we have to do is to divide 4 by 2. So, what will be the square root of x raised to y raised to another power of 4? So, that will be, the square root will be x raised to y to the second power. Bakit? Kasi di-divide lang naman natin yan by 2 eh. Minus, what will be the square root of 81? The square root of 81, the square root of 81 is 9. So, if the square root of 81 is 9, therefore, our factor would be x raised to y raised to another power of 2, and that is 9 times 9. No? 9 times 9 is 81. So, 9 times x raised to y raised to another power of 2 plus 9. Yan. Now, meron bang paraan? Mas madaling paraan ba dyan para ma-evaluate natin yung factor? Meron. O, tulad nung naituro ko sa inyo dati, all we have to do is to divide all of this exponent by 2. Di-divide lang natin yan sa 2. So, what will be the, ano yung magiging niya? Ano yung magiging quotient niya? So, if we divide it by 2, that will be x raised to 2y, and what will be the square root of 81? The square root of 81 is 9 times the quantity x raised to 2y plus 9. Ayan. Now, sa tingin nyo ba, tapos na tayo mag-factor? Hindi pa. Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, factorable pa si x raised to 2y minus 9. So again, using this property, powers of powers, or we could immediately get the quotient when we divide 2y by 2. So that would be x raised to 2y divided by 2. 2y divided by 2 is y. Diba? So, that will be x raised to y. What will be the square root of 9? The square root of 9 is 3. And don't forget, make a partner yan kasi we're using the difference of two squares. If we have x raised to y minus 3, we also have x raised to y plus 3 times, wag natin tong kalimutan, hindi na siya factorable kasi plus na yung gitna, that is x raised to 2y plus 9. And our next example, ang gagawin natin, ito yung another good example of factoring by grouping. So, sa madaling salita, hindi natin to basta-basta mapa-factor kung hindi natin gagamitan ng factoring by grouping. Paano ba natin nalaman? Una, lahat sila may A, pero sa pang-apat na term, walang A. Lahat ata sila may Z, pero sa unang term, walang Z. So, it give us a hint na baka mag-grouping tayo dito. So, subukan natin. Let us group this. Ayan, let us group this. Tsaka, we're going to group this. Pero hinay-hinay lang sa pag-group. Bakit? Kasi minus dito. Ayan, minus dyan. At kung minus yan, pagka group natin to, pag group natin yan at nakita nyo yung minus dito, hindi naman plus, magbabago ngayon yung symbol nitong nasa gitna. O, let us try to reason out. Pagka ba binalik natin, babalik ba sa original na, babalik ba siya sa original na form niya, or babalik ba tayo sa original na problem? O, subukan natin. If we're going to group that will become a cubed plus a squared z, and then we're going to group this minus az squared. Tingnan nyo, si az squared naging positive, samantalang kanina negative siya. So, ibig sabihin, si negative z cube, gagawin din natin siyang positive. Babaliktarin din natin yung operation niya. Plus z cube. Let us try to use distributive property kung babalik ba siya sa original na problem. Kasi ito, yung number dito, meron tayo dito 1 or negative 1. So, subukan natin negative times or negative 1 times az squared is negative az squared. Negative or negative 1 times z cube is equivalent to negative z cube. So, therefore, tama yung pag-group natin. Ito lang yung kailangan yung ingatan lagi. Ito, yan. Kailangan nyo yan, konting ingat pagka minus dyan sa gitna. Kasi, pag group mo yan, kailangan babalik rin natin yung sign sa loob. Na si az squared, dating negative, gagawin nating positive. Si negative z cube, na dating negative, gagawin naman nating positive. So, since na-group na natin siya, we were able to group it properly. Ang susunod naman natin gagawin is i-factor out natin yung mga common monomial factor or GCMF, greatest common monomial factor. So, in this case, you have a cube, meron ka ditong a squared. So, sa madaling salita, pwede tayong maglabas ng a squared. Ano yung matitira sa loob? So, i-divide lang natin a cubed divided by a squared, copy the base, subtract the exponent, that will be a raised to 1. No need to write 1. Okay. Plus, a squared divided by a squared is 1. No need to write 1. Kasi naglabas nga tayo ng a squared. So, matitira na lang is z. Minus, dito naman, may z dito, dito dalawa, dito tatlo. So, may lalabas natin is dalawa lang kasi kailangan patas yung dalawang term. So, z squared, ang matira sa loob is a plus, kanina tatlong z yan, nabawasan ng dalawa, so isa na lang, z raised to 1. Wait, may napapansin ba kayo sa May napapansin ba kayo sa ating expression? Mapapansin nyo na meron silang common quantity. Yun naman talaga yung objective lagi ng factoring by grouping. Kailangan maghanap tayo ng common quantity. And in this case, the common quantity is a plus z. So therefore, pwede natin siyang ilabas. Ang gagawin lang natin, i-group lang natin to using bracket. So that will be, pag nilabas natin yan, itong common quantity sa pinakalabas, that will be a plus z, or the quantity a plus z. Ano kaya yung natira sa loob pagkatapos nating tanggalin to at saka tanggalin to? Ang matitira sa loob is a squared minus z squared. Tapos na ba tayo? O hindi pa. Kasi factorable pa si a squared minus z squared. So, ang gagawin natin, that will be a plus z times the quantity. O, alam naman natin yung factor nito. Ang factor nito, it follows the difference of two squares. So, that will be a minus z times a plus z. Okay, so I prepared an exercise for you. Please copy the problem. The next time na magkita-kita tayo, I want you to show your solution. I prepared 2 sets of home quiz for you. So, ito yung easy round natin. Please show the solution as much as possible. And this is the second part of our home quiz. Ito naman yung medyo may challenge ng konti. So, sa una, sa tingin ko, gagamit ka ata ng factoring by grouping. Sa pangalawa, gagamit tayo ng powers of powers. Ayan. May prepare ako para sa inyo, I think mga 4 na word problems ata to. Prepare ko to sa inyo para mas ma-appreciate pa lalo natin, mas maintindihan pa natin lalo yung topic natin about the difference of two squares. In this manner, subukan nating i-apply yung concept natin in answering word problems. Mga word problems na madalas binibigay sa atin sa math class natin, ano? So, say for instance, in this particular word problem, it pertains to areas of lots, mga sukat uli ng lote. Ngayon ganito, ang sikreto para masagutan natin yung mga word problem, i-chop natin sila into several components or several phrases or sentences. Tapos each phrase, each sentences, unawain lang natin ng mabuti. Wala namang madalian na paraan in answering word problems. Ang kailangan lang naman dito is unawain lang natin ng mabuti yung word problem. So in this case, let me just read this to you. Our first word problem: the side of a square lot is x meters long. The length of a rectangular lot is 5 meters longer than the side of the square lot, and the width is 5 meters shorter. Which of the two land areas is wider than the other? So, ang isa sa mga paraan para masagutan natin ng maayos yung mga word problems na ganito, i-identify dapat natin kung ano yung mga given values at saka yung mga unknown values. Meaning, sa unknown values, kailangan inisip natin dito kung ano yung inahanap natin, kung ano ba yung tanong. So, ang tanong dito is, which of the two land areas is wider than the other? Ganun lang kasimple. Tinatanong lang naman kung sino sa kanilang dalawa, between lot 1 at saka lot 2, kung sino sa kanilang dalawa yung mas malapad, ano? Ay, ano naman yung mga given? Ang mga given naman is yung mga given, we are going to discover it from the word problem itself. Ang secret dyan is kailangan hati-hatiin natin, i-chop natin yung word problem. So, paano? Unawain natin yung first sentence or yung first phrase natin. The side of a square lot is x meters long. Chop. The side of a square lot is x meter long. Kung ito yung square lot, si lot 1, yung side daw niya is x. And due to the fact na square lot siya, so we could actually conclude na lahat ng dimensions niya is x. Okay, so iwan muna natin, mamaya na natin pag-usapan yung area niya. Punta muna tayo kay lot 2. The length of the rectangular lot, i-chop nyo uli yan. Yung kanya daw haba, pinag-usapan dito yung haba ni lot 2 or yung haba ng rectangular lot. So ito yon. Yan. the length of the rectangular lot is 5 meters longer than the side of the square lot. So, how are we going to express that? Yung kanya daw haba, 5 meters na mas mahaba sa sukat ni lot 1. So, if we are going to express that algebraically, that will be x plus 5. Bakit x plus 5? Kasi 5 meters na mas mahaba kaysa dun sa sukat ni lot 1 ni square lot So, that will be x plus 5. Yung kanya namang lapad. Ayan. Basahin uli natin. So, tapos na to. 5 meters longer than the side of the square lot, chop. And the width is 5 meters shorter. Yung kanya daw lapad is 5 meters shorter. So, kung kanina, 5 meters longer is x plus 5, this time, when we say 5 meters shorter, hulaan nyo, that will be x plus or minus, that will be minus 5. Ayan, kasi 5 meters shorter daw. And we are asked if which of the two land areas or which of the two lot is wider than the other. So, let us now try to figure out the area of lot 1. The area will be, that is equivalent to s squared. Yung pinag-aralan natin ng elementary tayo. So, the area will be equivalent to x squared. Kasi wala namang binigay na actual na sukat Hindi naman binigay yung actual na sukat. Dinefine lang siya as x, as an unknown. Now, for lot 2 naman, since rectangle siya, don't forget, rectangle po siya, ang kanyang area po is length times width. So, since the length, ito yung length, ito yung width. All we have to do is to multiply length times width. So, the area could be expressed as the quantity x plus 5, ito yon, times the width, which is x minus 5. Hindi pa natin agad masasagutan kung sino yung mas malapad. Not unless, i-evaluate muna natin to. Kailangan muna natin i-evaluate yan. So, the area, therefore, since this pertains to the product of the sum and difference of two binomials, that will be, so what will be the answer? The answer is the difference of two squares. Napag-aralan na po natin yan. Na-discuss ko na po yan sa inyo kanina. So, that will be x squared minus 25. Ayan, napakadali, Ngayon, tanungin na natin yung sarili natin. So, which of the two land areas is wider than the other? Ito ba o ito ba? So, kung mapapansin nyo, yung first area is x squared. Yung pangalawang area is x squared minus 25. Kung ito lang, kung ito wala nga lang minus 25, they will be equal, diba? X squared is equals to x squared. But since magsusubtract pa tayo sa kabila, therefore, x squared is greater than, therefore, x squared is greater than x squared minus 25. Bakit siya mas malaki? Syempre, magmaminus ka pa ng 25. And therefore, we could further conclude that lot 1 is greater than lot 2. So, kung bibili ka ng lupa, tas ganito yung sitwasyon at nagkataon na pinapipili ka between lot 1 and lot 2 sa parehong presyo, syempre, ang pipiliin natin, kung in terms of lapad, in terms of area, land area, syempre, mas pipiliin na natin si lot 1 kasi mas malaki siya ng di hamak. On the next problem or word problemlet that we are going to have, it has something to do with number problems. Let me first read to you the problem. The difference of the square of two consecutive even integer is 28. What are those numbers? So again, chop uli natin yung mga chop uli natin yung mga phrases and then let us try to comprehend, understand each of the phrases para mas madali nating masagutan yung problem, mas madali nating ma-identify kung ano yung mga known values, unknown values, tsaka kung ano yung tungkol saan yung tanong. Ang hinahanap natin is what would be those two consecutive even integer na yung kanila, na yung difference of na yung difference ng squares nila is equivalent to 28. Take note na pagka consecutive numbers, usually let's say 1, 2, 3, yung magkakasunod na number, ang ginagawa lang natin is nagpa-plus lang tayo ng 1. How about for two consecutive even integers, magkasunod na even integer? So, kung magkasunod na even integer, let's say 2, 4, 6, 8. Kung mapapansin nyo, we just add 2 from the first digit. So, if we want to find the consecutive integer starting from 2, that is 2 plus 2, that will be 4, and 4 plus 2, that will be 6, 6 plus 2, that will be 8. So, ganun lang yung process kung paano natin makuha yung magkakasunod na mga even integer. We add 2. Compared sa, if we are asked to find the consecutive numbers, we add 1. Since even integer yung hinihingi, consecutive even integer, so we will add 2. Now, the condition is the difference of the square of two consecutive even integers. So, familiar yung tunog, ano? Difference of the square. So, what are we going to do? Let us first, what is this? Let us first express those numbers algebraically or in terms of variables. Let's say, let us assume that x is yung unang integer, which is hindi pa natin alam kasi unknown value siya. X will be the first small even integer. Ayan, so that will be the first small even integer or first even small integer, yung mas maliit. Now, to find the larger integer, yung kasunod, yung mas malaki, just like 4 from 2, or just like 6 from 4, or just like 8 from 6, ang gagawin lang natin, mag-add lang tayo ng 2. So, we can express that as x plus 2. This will pertain to the second larger even integer. Ayan. So, the second larger even integer. And the condition is the difference of their squares is equivalent to 28. So, syempre, hindi naman pwedeng mauna yung mas maliit. Laging mauna dapat yung malaki kasi magma-minus tayo, or else magkakaroon tayo ng negative values. So, kailangan pag nagma-minus tayo, unahin natin yung malaki. At ang mas malaki dyan, yung x plus 2. So, x plus 2, or the quantity x plus 2. Anong gagawin kay x plus 2? Or anong gagawin kay second larger even integer? Ang gagawin sa kanya, i-square natin siya, tapos babawasan natin ng first small even integer. So, yun yung pagkakasabi ng problem, ano? The difference of the square. So, we are going to express that as the difference of the square. Ganyan. Yan. The difference of the square. Ganun po. The difference of the square of two consecutive even integer. Ito na yun sila. The two consecutive even integer is 28. And what are those numbers? Since meron na tayong expression that serves this for this purpose, ang gagawin na lang natin is isa-solve na lang natin siya. If this is already properly represented, then we can now solve. So, if you're going to solve for this expression, mapapansin nyo, it follows the difference of two squares. And we could actually factor this out by simply, we're going to use bracket, ano? The quantity x plus 2, yung pinaka-a term natin, minus x close times another quantity, the a term ulit, which is x plus 2. This time, instead the minus, plus x, which is equivalent to 28. Now, let us try to remove the grouping symbols. And we are going to use a distributive property if necessary. Ano? So, tingnan natin. By removing the grouping symbols, we have x plus 2 minus x and x plus 2 plus x. In this case, hindi na natin ginamitan ng distributive property kasi yung grouping symbols nandito naman sa left side. Kung nasa right side yan, most probably baka ginamitan pa natin ng distributive property. Pero since nasa left side naman yung mga grouping symbols, so it's alright. That is equivalent to 28. Now, palitan natin to mamaya, itong bracket na to para hindi nakakatakot tingnan, ano? Gawin natin uling parenthesis. But first, let us evaluate yung nasa loob. Tingnan natin. You have here positive x and you have here negative x. So, if you're going to add them, that adds up to 0. Since they are zeros, so ika-cancel na lang natin sila. Yan, cancel na lang natin sila. So, ang natira na lang pala sa kanya is 2. How about the other? You have here x and x. So, x plus x, that would be 2x, right? So, 2x. And then you have positive 2 or plus 2. Meaning, x plus 2 plus x is equivalent to 2x plus 2. Ayan. That is equivalent to 28. Now, as I could recall, when we are studying GCMF, greatest common monomial factor, meron tayong greatest common monomial factor kay 2x plus 2 or the quantity 2x plus 2, and that will be 2. Ano? So, let us copy 2. Let us copy first 2 and then try to remove or factor out the grouping the greatest common monomial factor, which is 2. So, or greatest common factor, which is 2. And then, let us try to divide. 2x divided by 2 is x plus 2 divided by 2 is 1. O, para makasiguro, pwede nyo yung i-check. Double check, ibalik natin. 2 times x is 2x and 2 times 1, that is 2. O, ibabalik siya sa 2x plus 2. Babalik siya sa 2x plus 2. That is equivalent to 28. How about this? 2 times 2 is 4 times the quantity x plus 1, that is equivalent to 28. Now, since we are dealing with products of two quantities or two variables or two things, we are dealing with product of two quantities, we could immediately divide this by 4. Divide it both sides by 4. Pwede natin gawin yun. Or, we could simply multiply 1/4 to both sides of the equation. For what purpose? Para matanggal yung 4. Kasi di-divide natin yan, magiging 1 na lang yan. And no need to write 1. Ang matitira na lang is x plus 1. And 28 divided by 4, that will be equivalent to 7. X plus 1 is equivalent to 7, so malapit na, no? Let us just transpose positive 1 to the right side of the equation. It will become negative, so that will be x is equivalent to 7 minus 1, or x is equivalent to 6. So, ibig sabihin pala, yung first small even integer natin is 6. Ano kaya yung ating second larger even integer? So, we will continue solving here. If the value of x is equivalent to 6, and our second larger even integer is represented by x plus 2, that will be 6 plus 2, and that will be equivalent to 8. So those consecutive even integer, when you get the difference of their squares, that those consecutive even integers are actually 6 and 8. Now, let us check kung tama nga yung nakuha nating answers. Let us check. So let's say the difference of squares of two consecutive even integer, unahin natin yung larger integer represented by x plus 2 squared minus 6 squared is equivalent to 28. 8 times 8 is 64, while 6 times 6 is 36. That is equivalent to 28. And 64 minus 36 is 28. That is equivalent to 28. So yung solution natin is correct. The value, the first even integer is 6, followed by 8. The difference of their squares is 28. So we are correct. For our third word problem, ito may kinalaman uli sa area, area of lots. Let me just read to you again the problem. A comfort room that measures 2 by 2 meters occupies a square lot. The area of the lot less the area occupied by the CR measures 21 square meters. What is the width of the house? So, unawain uli natin isa-isa yung mga phrases para mas maintindihan natin lalo. From this illustration, makikita nyo na, kunyari, meron tayong square lot. Parisukat yung lote natin. Tapos, yung area occupied by the CR is 2 by 2 meters. So, sa tingin ko, ang area niya is 4, Yung kabuuan, the whole square lot, the area of the whole square lot is less the area of the CR is 21 square meter. So, what will be the width of the house? Bago natin malaman yung width of the house, kailangan malaman muna natin kung ano yung area nung buong lote, nung buong square lot. So, yung buong square lot, let us represent it by A sub T, yung total area. The total area of the square lot minus the area occupied by the CR. Yan. Usually, ganyan yung mga mga disenyo ng mga tirahan natin, yung ibang tirahan natin dito sa Pilipinas, yung CR nasa labas. Yan, sa ganyan. So, very common yung ating example. So, the total area minus the area occupied by dun sa pinagawa nating CR is 21 square meters. Ayun yung pagkakasabi sa problem, the area of the lot less the area occupied by the CR. So, total area of the lot minus area occupied by the CR is equivalent to 21 square meters. Now, let us further investigate ano naman yung area occupied by the CR at ilan. Yung area occupied by the CR is equivalent to S squared, kasi parisukat din siya 2 by 2 square meters. So, that is equivalent to 2 by 2. So, bawal na pala tayong gumamit ng ganyang operation, 2 times 2, or that will be equivalent to 4 square meters. So, in that case, since the the area occupied by the CR is 4 square meters. All we have to do now is to replace the values. So the area occupied, the total area minus the area occupied by the CR, which is 4 square meters, that is equivalent to 21 square meters. Or the area, the total area, transpose natin si negative 4 square meters to the other side of the equation. That is equivalent to 21 square meters minus 4 square meters. And that will be the total area is equivalent to, by the way, nung transpose pala natin siya, kailangan nagiging positive pala siya. Don't forget ha, muntik na natin makalimutan ano, na si negative 4 pagka transpose pala, sorry magiging positive 4. So 21 square meters plus 4 square meters, that will be 25 square meters. Pero hindi pa yun yung sagot. Ito yung tinatawag nating total area. Paano natin isosolve yung width of the house? Remember, yung total area natin, yung total lot natin is a square lot. So if the total area is a square lot, that will be represented by x squared. So replacing the total area here, a sub t, let us replace that by x raised to 2 is equivalent to 25 square meters. And then let's get the square root of both sides of the equation, or let us raise both sides by exponent, which is 1/2. Ganon din yun. So getting the square root of x squared, the square root of x squared, and the square root of 25. Kung ano yung ginawa natin sa left, dapat gawin rin natin sa right para manatiling equal. The answer will be the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 25 is 5. So therefore, the width of the house, as well as the length, because it is a square lot, so the width of the house is 5 meters, or 5 units, 5 meters to be exact. Now, there are other ways para ma-solve natin yung problem. There's also another way para ma-solve natin yung problem, and that is by using factoring method. So let's say the area occupied by the CR is equivalent to 2 times 2, that is equivalent to 4 square meters. The area, the total area, is represented by x squared. X squared minus 4. Bakit ganyan? Kasi si x squared dito, ito yung total area. Si 4 naman, siya yung area occupied by the CR. So total area minus the area occupied by the CR, ang pagkakasabi sa problem is measures 21 square meters. So in this case, it is very much familiar sa inyo. Sa tingin ko, napaka-familiar sa inyo nung ating expression, no? It pertains to the difference of two squares. So this is just an alternative method of solving this problem, ano? So I hope you could still bear with us, you could still bear with me. Konting pasensya lang muna, no? Kasi we really have to represent these problems in terms of the difference of two squares. So para pag nakalimutan niyo yung unang solution, at least meron pa kayong alternative solutions using, of course, the concept of the difference of two squares. So if you have already x squared minus 4 is equivalent to 21, we could express that as x squared minus 4 transpose 21 to the other side of the equation. That becomes negative 21. And syempre, Ang matitira na lang dito is 0. Bakit naging 0 yan? Just imagine, we add both sides by negative 21. Add tayo ng negative 21 dito. Add tayo ng negative 21 dito. Kasi kung ano yung ginawa mo sa left, dapat gawin mo rin sa right para manatiling equal. And then, that is, so andyan na, x squared minus 4 minus 21. Dito naman, 21 minus 21, it becomes 0. So, ganun yung nangyari dyan if you're going to use the proper method. Or simply, just transpose negative 21, just transpose positive 21 to the other side of the equation. That will become negative 21. And the answer will be, let us further evaluate this expression. X squared, negative 4 minus 21. Since both of them are negative, so we're going to combine them. That is negative 25. Combine 4 and 21 and copy their common sign, which is negative. That is equivalent to 0. Again, naku, napaka-familiar na sa atin nung expression, x squared minus 25. So what is that? It pertains to the difference of 2 square. Ngayon, ituturo ko sa inyo yung isa sa mga property na I think napag-aralan din ninyo nung kayo ay grade 7 pa. Yung tinatawag nating 0. I hope sana na-introduce ito sa inyo ng previous teachers natin, Kung hindi pa, at least dito malalaman nyo yung tinatawag nating zero factor theorem. Ano yun? Ano ba yung zero factor theorem? Which is, ito pinaka-popular itong napaka-popular nitong theorem na to, nitong property na to. Ano ba yun? So, if you have A times B, napaka-basic nito. A times B is equivalent to 0. If you have two numbers na minultiply nyo, tapos yung sagot nila, 0. So, the theorem states that, therefore, A is equivalent to 0 or it's either A is 0 or B is 0, which is true. Kasi kung halimbawa, meron kang dalawang number, tapos minultiply mo sila, tapos ang sagot 0, like 0 times 4. The answer is 0. Kaya sila naging 0 kasi one of them is, theoretically, one of them is 0. So here, if you multiply AB, and their result is 0, therefore you could theoreticize that A is 0 or B is 0. Now, for what purpose? Bakit natin gagamitin si zero factor theorem? Bakit natin gagamitin si zero factor theorem? Kasi gagamitin natin siya para makuha natin yung value ni x. How? Kailangan i-factor muna natin si x squared minus 25. Let us factor x squared minus 25. Bakit? Kasi yung zero factor theorem applicable lang siya sa products A and B, the product of two quantities. Hindi siya pwedeng i-apply sa addition, subtraction, division, only to products of two quantities. So maybe much better na express din natin tong x squared minus 25 as product of two quantities, diba? And we can do that by factoring x squared minus 25 using the technique of the difference of two squares. So, the factor will be x minus 5, or the quantity x minus 5 times the quantity x plus 5. That is still equivalent to 0. Since na-factor na natin siya, let us now argue using the zero factory theorem, which states that if two products is equivalent to 0, therefore either A is 0 or B is 0. So in this case, if their product, the product of x minus 5 and the product of x plus 5 is 0, we could argue therefore that x minus 5, or the quantity x minus 5 is 0, or x plus 5, or the quantity x plus 5 is also equals to 0. Either one of the factor is 0. Now, let us try to evaluate this. X minus 5 is 0. Transpose negative 5 to the other side of the equation. That will be x equivalent to negative 5 becomes positive 5. And x plus 5 is equals to 0. And if we are going to transpose positive 5 to the other side, it will become negative 5. So, x is equivalent to negative 5. So, ano ibig sabihin yan? Ang ibig sabihin po niyan, it's either the value of x is 5 or the value of x is negative 5 to make x squared minus 25 is equivalent to 0. Pero syempre, we are talking about measurements here. So, hindi pwede na magkaroon tayo ng value na negative. Ayan. Ito, hindi to bawal to bawal. Bawal po yan. Kasi wala naman tayong negative measurements. So, ang magiging solution natin, etong positive, which is x is equals to positive 5. Hindi na ba kasali si negative 5? Hindi na. Kasi negative 5 is, what is this? A negative solution since when we are pertaining to a scalar measurements, which is measurements, of course, wala tayong negative measurements. Ano? When we are pertaining to measures of length and width, we don't usually need negative measurements. So we will just stick ourselves to tutukan na lang natin yung ating positive measurement. So let us try to this is very direct, napaka-direct ng solution niya. Unlike before, kanina, marami tayong paligoy-ligoy, tapos mga square root tayo. Ito, gumamit tayo dito ng the difference of two squares. Ginamit natin yung concept ng the difference of two squares. Tapos ginamitan natin siya ng zero factor theorem, and we were able to find the value of x. So the value of x here is simply 5. Now, let us check if we are correct. If the area, let us check. If the value of the total area is represented by x squared, the total area, or a sub t, is equivalent to x squared. That will be equivalent to, what is the value of x? The value of x is 5. So, that is equivalent to 5 squared. Therefore, the total area is 25 square units. Since the total area less the area of the CR is 21 square meters, so we're going to subtract them. The total area minus the area for occupied by the CR is equivalent to 21 square meters. So that will be 25 minus what will be the area, what is the area of the CR? So sinolve na natin yan kanina, the area for our CR is 2 times 2, so that is 4 minus, that is equivalent to 21, and 25 minus 4 is 21. So our answer is correct. Now, the last problem that I'm going to share to you, may kinalaman pa rin sa mga land area. Suppose we have a 4 square classroom. Itong mga green, yung 4 na green, we have 4 square classroom. 4 square classroom is to be constructed in a 50 by 50 meter lot. And so, pagka 50 by 50 meter lot, automatic, yung lote natin, yung kabuuang lote natin is a square lot. Show the area less the lot occupied by the classroom mathematically. So, ang hinihingi dito, yung mathematical representation nung total area less the lot or less the area occupied the 4 classrooms. So, how are we going to do that? First, let us define the area for each classroom. The area for each classroom, the area for one classroom, the area for one classroom, since the dimension is represented by x, and since the classrooms are squares, so therefore that could be represented by x squared. Now, since there are 4 classrooms, 4 area for one classroom, or to simply say area for one classroom times 4, kasi 4 sila, so that is also equivalent to 4x squared. Ano naman yung area nung ano naman yung kabuuang area? Remember that the total area, the measurement of the total square lot is 50 by 50. So total area A sub t is equivalent to 50 squared. Bakit? Kasi yung side niya, one of its width is 50, and 50 times 50, or 50 squared, is represented by the total area. That is also the same as 5 times 5, 25, tapos may dalawang 0 si 50, so may tigda dalawang 0, so you add 2 zeros, that is equivalent to 2,500 square meters or square units. Now, instead of using 2,500, we will make use of 50 squared para mas makita talaga natin yung mathematical representation ng ating, we can use 2,500 naman, pero it will be much convenient kung gagamitin natin yung 50 squared. So what will be our mathematical representation of the total area less the area occupied by 4 classrooms? So since the total area less the area occupied by classroom, so yan, so the total area less 4 tapos 4 areas of classroom. Therefore, the mathematical representation, let us just substitute for this and this. So you have 50 squared minus 4x squared. So the mathematical representation of the area less the area occupied by the 4 classroom is 50 squared minus 4x squared. That's the answer. Now, since tapos na nating pag-usapan yung 4 na problems, naibigay ko na sa inyo as example yung 4 na word problem. This time, kayo naman yung sasagot. I hope na magsilbing guide sa inyo yung mga previous word problem natin, previous discussions natin, in answering the following word problems as home quiz. So this is your first home quiz. This is your first word problem to be answered at home. The side of a square lot is 20 meters long. The length of a rectangular lot is 10 meters longer than the side of the square lot, and the width is 10 meters shorter. What is the area of the two lots, and which of the two land areas is wider? For the second problem, which you are going to answer at home, I want you to find the difference of the square of two consecutive odd integer. Don't forget odd integer. The difference of the square of two consecutive odd integer is 16. So what are those numbers? So you are going to find the two the two consecutive odd integers in such a manner that the difference of the square of these two consecutive odd integers is 16. So, hanapin nyo yung dalawang magkasunod na odd integer. Given that their difference, the difference of their squares is 16. For our third home quiz, you're given 4 rooms that measures 3 by 3 meters. Room 1, room 2, kitchen, and study room, all of them have the same measures, and all of them measures 3 by 3 meters. So 4 rooms that measures 3 by 3 meters occupies a square house. The area of the house less the area occupied by 4 rooms measures 364 square meters. What will be the width of the house, which is represented by x? The last but not the least, the last problem that you are going to answer at home, in this illustration, what is the area of the brown square region in terms of polynomials? So you have here a green region, which I think is a square kasi yung dimension niya is x minus 2 and x minus 2. Yung dimension naman ng brown region, ng kabuang region, yung total region is x and x, so square din, ano? Ang tinatanong, ano yung polynomial that would represent the brown region? Meaning, that is the total area minus the green area. The total area minus the green area, ito yung brown area. Yun ang pinapahanap sa atin. Kamukha rin yan nung fourth problem natin.